Okay, accept.
Good. I want to say good morning, Judy, but it's not good morning. It's actually good evening. How are you doing, girl?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I am so excited about having this table talk.
Yes.
I am so excited about this because we talked about it briefly a little bit. A part of our walk with God is sort of exposing ourselves, isn't it?
Right.
You
Yes.
know, and we don't always like to do that, but God tells us to boast in our weaknesses that his power may be shown. Because if we just talk about the great things that took place in our life, who are we really mentoring and helping?
Exactly.
People can relate to
Yes.
relatable stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can show empathy for someone that is going through something that we have gone through. If we try to hide and wear a mask saying, oh, my life has been perfect, I didn't do that, do this. But when we're transparent and we can just tell people, look, I did this, but I'm still here. I'm still going through. Yes, I may have suffered and had some setbacks, but I'm still here and I'm still doing what God wants me to do.
Going strong. That's right. That's exactly right. Because I know you heard the saying about we either get better or bitter.
Or better, yes.
And I mean the Lord, Judy, this year alone, the Lord was teaching me how to wait. And you may have seen some of the posts I put on Facebook, but about waiting on the Lord. And sometimes we think waiting, if we're waiting any kind of way we want, that's waiting on the Lord. And the Lord said, no, I want to teach you, Sharon. And he was talking to me. Even though I'm using this in a general term, he was talking to me about my waiting wasn't waiting. I wasn't waiting well. And so he wanted to train me and show me how to wait well, because the Bible says those who wait upon the Lord gain new strength. We get stronger. We don't get weaker and beat up and I can't take it. And we don't like trials. I mean, if somebody likes trials, then you have a secret I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we go through stuff, and in that, we want to go through it. And you know this yourself. You want to go through it with the Lord, because if I'm going to go through the trial, I don't want to waste it.
Absolutely.
If I want to go through it, I want to go through it well.
Right.
Know?
Yes.
So the scripture that's on my mind for tonight, Judy, was in Psalms 34:19. It says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God delivers us from them all. And I like the way in the Amplified version, it says, many hardships and perplexing circumstances confront the righteous, but the Lord rescues him from them all. Many hardships and perplexing circumstances confront the righteous, but the Lord rescues him from them all. It doesn't say, because you can look at that and say, well, then what did I get born again for if I'm going to go through? Everybody's going to go through afflictions. Everybody. I mean, if you live on the face of the earth, we're going to go through stuff.
Oh, yes.
But how we go through it, will determine.
Exactly.
So what would you say on that? What do you think about that?
A lot of times people think that when you become a Christian that all your troubles go away.
Did that happen for you?
Christian, that's when your troubles start.
Right.
Think about it. If we can't endure the little things, how are we going to be rewarded with what God has for us after this life? I mean, he's got big things prepared for us. Even in school, we have to take a test in order to pass to the next grade. If we don't pass the test, we have to repeat it.
Yes,
Same with Christian walk in life. If we don't pass the test, we're going to repeat it. So
and Judy, I say sometimes when I'm going through stuff, it was like, Sharon, do you want to go through this again? Well, then do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Because God leads us through it, doesn't he? He's not like, you think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Jesus wasn't on the outside looking in. He was right in there with them.
Exactly.
And so it's go ahead, I'm sorry.
And he's with us. Even when going through our trials and tribulations, he's there with us the whole time. Sometimes just waiting to see what we're going to do, because he tells us, don't do this or do that. And we think, well, I know what's best. So I'm going to do what I think is best, and then end up getting in a mess. But the part that says, even though we're going through our trials and tribulations, every single trial and tribulation, he's going to deliver us from them all.
Yes,
so we
yes.
don't have to worry. Even in there are 4 seasons. Each season has its own type of it's beautiful in the spring. In the summer, it gets hot. In the winter, this winter was horrible. And so it's dreary. But yet spring, summer, the fall is beautiful. God shows us that things are dead, then they come back to life, and they're beautiful, vibrant. The same thing goes, we go through seasons in our life, and season is not the same, but it's not going to last always.
That's exactly right.
Runs out of rain. So we don't worry as we are in our season. If we go through it, knowing that God is right there with us, he's going to take us through, and we come out victorious. In the end, we're going to win. So we already know that. We just have to walk knowing that God has taken us through it. So we don't have to worry. He sees the big picture. And I was telling a friend of mine, I said, because she had posted something and I saw it, and I thought, when I was thinking about her, what just came to my mind was, I told her, I said, when you get out of your car, you see where you work, but you just have to get there.
Right.
You see it, but you're not there, but you have to take steps to get to where you're going.
Exactly.
And the same is with us. We know where we're going. We know what God has in store. We just have to get there.
Yeah. That is, I love that. I love that. That's absolutely right. Otherwise, we want to grow in the Lord, but we want to grow in the Lord just standing still. That doesn't work, huh? It doesn't work.
Not at all.
and I read somewhere where somebody said, if you see a person that's strong, and they're strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might, it's because they were working together with God. They weren't laying under the beach saying, okay, I mean, we get to do that sometimes, but most of the time we don't. We have to work together with God. And I love that, because I hear people sometimes, Judy, saying, but I can't hear God's voice, him telling to. It was like, no. We hear God's voice. I said, we don't need 10 steps in how to hear. Now, there are books written, but we don't need 10 steps in how to hear the voice of the Lord. We hear the voice of the Lord. It's his job to see to it that we hear him. He said, my sheep hear his voice. So when I make a detour, it's because I know what to do, but I'm taking this detour because even though I know what to do, I'm going to do what I want to do. And even from those situations, and we don't want to make that a practice, of course, but God delivers us from those situations.
Yes, he does.
Because that's who we are. And I mean, when he chose us, when he called us from heaven to earth, and he brought us down here, brought us down here knowing full well what we would do, when we would do it, and how we would do it. And he chose us. He said, Judy, you're mine. Judy, you're mine. Sharon, you're mine. Oh, Lord, you knew me making all these mistakes and doing, and you still chose me. Yeah, I did. That's what I did.
Right.
I mean, you look at men and women in the scripture, perfection was not an option for them serving God. It wasn't it.
Yes.
So, but that's good.
And even with our own children, we know how, even when they make mistakes, we're not going to just write them off and say, I don't want anything to do with you. We're going to do everything we can.
Not if you have good sense, you're not.
No, exactly. Well, there are some that would, but we're going to do whatever we can. We're going to still love that child. Mistakes, because we know that eventually they'll get it together. And if we forsake them, then they're just going to be out there on their own. And God does the same thing with us, because we're his children. He's still loving us and waiting with open arms to just take us back and pick us up and dust us off and put us back on the right path.
Right. Wow. That is exceptional. I mean, that's something to think about. I mean, I love that. So when you think about trials, you don't think at it as though your life is over, and it looks like your mindset concerned. I'm not saying that you're saying, God, bring the trials on, just bring them there. I mean, they want to take care of themselves.
There were times that I felt like I couldn't go on.
Yeah.
Things had to go through and endure, I thought, I just won't make it.
Right.
There was when I said I don't want to make it.
Yeah.
I just
right.
I'd be better off dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But God had a plan.
Yes.
So even through the trials, I'm still here because he still has work for me
Yes.
to. He still has work for you to do.
Yes.
Otherwise, he could have just let us go.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Everything that comes and we are able to endure it, like you said, it makes us stronger. And
Yes.
then it's an example because we never know who's watching us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
going through trials and tribulations and they're like, oh, they're a Christian. Are they?
Mhm.
What are they going to do? I know
Mhm.
what they're going through. How are they going to handle this?
Yes.
We can just keep praying and keep going and keep smiling.
Yes.
God has taken us through, but he's
Yes.
helped. I always tell people sometimes we have to suffer for other people.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
fun, but sometimes we have to go through it so we can talk to someone and say, look, this is what I had to go through. You
Mhm.
don't want to go through this.
Right. Right.
You know, and if they're wise, they'll take the advice, but also when they're going through, you can say, look, I went through this and look where I am now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can make it. You know,
Yeah.
people need someone that is going to empathize and sympathize with them and tell them you can make it. Sometimes
Yes.
that's all that people need.
Yes.
It's just like,
Yes.
come on, pick yourself up. Come on, you're
Mhm.
beautiful. Let's go. You got
Yes.
this.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and it doesn't cost us a dime to
Yes.
tell somebody. You know,
Mhm.
that every day I try to put something encouraging on Facebook just to lift
And
people up.
sometimes, girl, you be slamming, and it was like every day, girl, save some for me. But go ahead, Judy. Go ahead.
But you know, I think that one of my gifts is the gift of encouragement because
Yeah.
I've been for years. I mean, from a young child, I was sending people cards all the time. I should have
Really?
my own cards because I send so many cards to people, and it's just something that I enjoy doing. I don't look for anything back in
Yeah.
return. I just like to encourage people, and
Mhm.
people are going through. Matter of fact, there's 18 people that every single morning, Monday through Sunday,
Mhm.
send them a text every morning.
Okay. Wow. You said
So
18?
18 people.
Okay. Okay. So
And
anybody listening to this, if you want to be number 19, 20, number 26, here she is. Yeah, but wow, yeah.
but I've been doing that for probably 4 years.
Okay.
Because one person, I knew that they were going through something, and then someone else started going through, and it was just something that I started, and then someone said, well, I heard you text this person, can you text me too? So every morning
Yeah.
there's 15 people that I send a text to.
Yeah. Judy, you seem like I knew your mother from the university and then from your church from years ago when I was in college. And your mother had that same loving tone.
Yeah. Oh.
You remind me of her so much. Your mother had the same loving tone, and we loved, I know I did love seeing her at the university because she was like a
Yeah.
breath of fresh air, because coming from the city and going to school in Indiana, it was really a culture shock.
Oh, sure.
And so it was nice to have your mother around. But it seems like the same spirit that was
No.
in your mother rules and rule and reigns in you. And I love that. I mean, I love that. You have such a beautiful soul. You do. So that is good. I mean, I think of Judy when we're talking about trials and things. I love when I was in Indiana and I was going through a real hard time in my life. And I can remember sitting in my bedroom on the sofa looking out on the deck, and I just wanted to just give up. And I thought, this is too hard, it's too many things, I'm just done. And I mean, I just thought, I'm just going to let my mind go here because I can't take this, I can't handle this. And from people looking at me on the outside would say they would be shocked. I mean, because people are actually shocked when I share that they didn't know that I was going through that, because on the outside it looked a certain way, but really what was going on was horrendous at that time. When I look at it now, it wasn't as horrendous as I made it, but it was horrendous to me.
Right.
And so, and I remember sitting there, Judy, and I said, I could just give up my mind right now. This is so painful. And the Lord spoke to my heart and said, you can give up your mind, but it'd be harder to take it back. So that really, it was like, let me think on this, because it's not like, when you go to college or you take classes in school, wherever you are, and the class before you, and I know we used to do this. If I wanted to take an English class, and you would ask the class before you which teacher to take. You don't want to take the crazy teachers or the hard teachers. You want to take the teachers, And so which teacher take? And so the teacher that's easy sometimes, it's sometimes different for each person. What may be hard for me may be easy for you. I mean, that's really different. But I know when God said to me, Judy, it's going to be hard. This is the God who created me. He knows what's hard for me.
Yes.
He knows it. He knows what's hard for me. And so, and I had to sit there and think, and it was like, because at the time I didn't want to work through it. It was like, I just want to be done here. Now, eventually it was going to have to be worked through. Now, you have to work through it now or work through it later, or, And so I said, Lord, okay. And he just gave me some practical things to do. And the thing was, the situation, Judy, was when we closed the store down, because we had the upper crust. You remember the upper crust, right?
Yes.
So when it was a couple years prior to us closing the store down, we had a controller come in the store, Melento, and he looked at our records and he said, because we were at a standstill, we weren't losing money, but we weren't overly making money. And so we were at a standstill. And so we brought this controller in, and he looked at our records and he said, this is what you're going to have to do. He looked at our business plan, and he said, you've accomplished everything that's in this business plan. Either you have to do another, he didn't say even, you have to do another business plan, because this one is completed, it's done. And so one of the things that he recommended was, because most of our money was coming from private and corporate catering, not from the storefront, that we needed that storefront in order to get the contracts we had in doing the private and corporate catering, because people wouldn't have known us otherwise. So we needed that. But most of our money, and it was a high percentage, it was like 78% of our money was coming from catering. So he said, if you shut the store down, you can make this amount in this amount of time. If you keep it open, you can make. And Judy, this is how fleshly I was, because only thing I could think about, I picked the wallpaper, I picked the chairs, I picked everything. I'm just looking at the outside stuff, and it was like, I don't want to give this up. Now my husband, he saw it, because men think more practical sometimes. And so he was like, but he waited for me. He waited 2 years for me to make a decision. And I said, yeah, I'm ready for this. And so that's what was hard for me, because not because of the decision wasn't a good, righteous decision. The thing that stood in my mind was, what will people think? What will people think? And so I'm sitting, and really, that's really, if I'm honest, that's what made me go on 2 years past the time, because I didn't want to deal with what would people think. And so, and then when God and I had this dialogue about, when I thought I'm just done, I just want to, because in my mind, I thought God let me down. Why didn't you make the store thrive more than the catering part? And it was, all the stuff going on. And so, to make a long story short, he gave me some practical things to do. And and I would share that with anybody. It wasn't like, I want you, like, there were lightning bolts. The thing that I so feared was facing people and having to explain it. And the first thing that the Lord laid on my heart was, go to Walmart. I want you to get a cart. I want you to go to Walmart, and I want you to shop. Because when I would go out, because of the store, we knew so many people. And so sometimes when it was in the stores, Herbie and I would laugh, because people could hardly talk to me sometimes, because they wanted to see what was in my cart. I don't know what that's all about, but that's how it was. So I knew I would have the attention. And so I went there, and and the Lord told me what to say when people were asking, and I was just talking. And I just did this. I mean, I must have had maybe like $300 or $400 worth of food in my cart. Don't judge me. I left it. I didn't buy all of that. I left it there. Somebody had to put it away. But it so freed me up, that fear of man. It's so that simple situation so freed me up. And it was like, because people would say to me, oh, we miss you, we miss the store, and it was like, yeah, and what are you doing now? Well, we're doing private and corporate catering. I mean, Judy, we made more money in half the time than having that store.
Wow. Ooh.
But I didn't want to hear that, because I didn't want to face what I consider to be shame. And
Right.
so I learned from that. It was like, you know, God really knows better than us. When he
Oh,
says his ways are higher than our ways, he
yes.
means it. And he
Oh,
never wants our destruction. Because Herbie and I even laughed, now we were like doing this COVID and stuff. Could you imagine having an upper crust?
yeah.
No, I couldn't. You know, no, I couldn't. And it was like, God, you so know more than we know. You know,
Yes.
so
He
that was,
sees the big picture. We don't
yes.
see the here and now. But as you were talking about, you know, being fearful of what people will think,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what paralyzes us so much, is that
Yes.
we are so afraid to do certain things or to make changes in our lives because what will people think?
Yes. Yes.
And it really doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter.
No.
Because if we base our life off of what somebody thinks or says, we'll never do anything.
No. No.
But God promised that he would not give us more than we can bear. So
Yes,
even when we
yes,
go
yes.
through our
Mhm.
trials and tribulations, do you ever say, why do you trust me so much?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you know that I can go through this? I can't go through this, but he said, I know that you can bear this. And so
Yes.
even, you know, when my mom passed, I said, I think God knew that I would be able to handle her death more than she would be able to handle my death.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just little things like that, you know, he knows what he's doing. And
Yes,
sometimes,
yes,
even though we think he doesn't, he knows what he's doing.
yes.
May not understand it at the time, like, you know, your restaurant closing at the time, you didn't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but also it was all working for your good.
Yes,
So
Judy,
even
yes,
disappointments, downsizing,
yes.
hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, misunderstandings, it's all working for our good.
Yes,
So
yes,
just
yes. And when he
he
says
even
his ways are higher than our ways, somehow we quote that, but we don't believe that
yeah,
sometimes. His
yes,
ways are higher means
yes,
there's something we're thinking and there's something he's thinking, and it's not like
mhm,
this, it's like
yes,
this.
yes,
And who's going to change their mind? We have to change our mind because he has it already worked out.
absolutely,
We don't like
absolutely.
the way it's going because we want it to be a straight shot. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like this,
Mm.
you know.
Oh yeah,
So,
yes,
so this is really good. This is really good. And how are
yeah,
your boys, Judy? You have different.
yeah, yeah, they're doing really well.
Oh, great.
Jalen's coming from the Marines, still looking for a job,
Mhm.
but I'm trusting God that he'll
Yes.
get. He had a job lined up with the airport, but
Okay.
COVID hit, and so
Hmm.
he's still looking right now. But my youngest son, he'll graduate in May from
Okay.
W&J. He's studying
Okay.
neuroscience,
Oh,
and
really?
he's going to go on and get his PhD. And
Hmm.
so he's he's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, they say that children get their intelligence from their mother, but I can't even take credit for
Miss, I don't know, Judy. I don't know. You seem pretty like a smart woman to me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it may
it.
not be in the same field, but you seem pretty smart to me. I had said something to somebody. A young man, because he didn't feel as though he was smart. And I know this is not your story here, but I think this is so good. And you may have seen this. I posted it on Facebook before. But they had this panel of people, of judges at a table, and in the line were all these animals. Did you see this? It was it was a fish bowl. It was a lion,
Oh,
it was a giraffe, it was a gorilla, it was a lion, cat, monkey, it was all these animals in line with these judges at the table. And at the table, it said, we will want to see how fast the judges were going to judge these animals according to how fast they could get up the tree.
mhm.
Did you hear the animals I just said were in that line? So
Yes.
who's going to win that? Who's going to win? I mean, who's going? If you're judging everything according to that one thing,
Right.
somebody in that line is going to look like they're stupid. I mean, the elephant is not going to go up there. That giraffe, I mean, the
Exactly.
giraffe can reach his head up there, but it's not going to
Right.
climb. So you have the
Yes.
monkey, you have certain things. The fishbowl is not going to go up there,
Uh,
you know. So it's like, but I think not I think our calling is just different. They got them
Right.
smarts from somewhere. They're
Yeah.
not my kids. I mean, when I used to teach, and sometimes I would have gifted kids, it was like, Lord, I don't want gifted kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shame on me, probably.
I understand. Oh.
You know, so I mean, it's just that where God gifts us is where he
Oh,
uses us, and
sure.
it's great. And
Yes.
it's just that sometimes our intelligence is different. But I
Yes.
mean, when I see you, I see a beautiful, intelligent woman.
Well, thank you.
You know, so I
Good.
love this. I love this. So you are in Indiana.
I
And
actually Greensburg.
oh, do you?
Hmm.
Okay. Have you been there for a while?
Yeah, for 8 years.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't tell where anybody is with cell phones and stuff. And
No,
you,
that's true. Yeah.
so that's good. But this was a nice chat with you, Judy.
Yes, I
We have to
enjoyed
do this again.
definitely.
And you're
Absolutely.
going to come once all this is over. You promise you're
Yes,
going to come to Atlanta.
I am. That's one place I've never been, and I would
Okay.
love to come. Yes.
Yes. Well,
It would,
you always have a room in my house.
oh, thank you
I would
so much.
love it. I would love it.
You're always hosting parties and
Yeah.
stuff. I see it
We
on your
haven't been doing it.
Facebook.
I mean, for this past year, it's been,
Well,
we haven't been, I mean, on the where we live, the development where we live, there's a country club here. And sometimes if
okay.
people from our Bible study will do, we'll have the party at the country club, but we're sitting so far apart, we have masks. I mean, so
Right.
we don't do that
Yeah.
often. So we
Oh,
don't, yeah. So we don't do as much entertaining as we did. And I love having people in. I think that
oh,
is just, such a part of life for me, because
yeah.
I think having a house and being able to cook and do stuff, it's it's really, to me, this is my rendition of it. I think it's just sort of worthless if you can't share it. And Herbie's
Right.
the same way. Herbie's
Yes.
the same way. So, you
Yeah.
always have time here, and your boys, you always have
Mhm.
a space here when you're in Atlanta to be
Well,
with them.
thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
Yes. And thank you for this conversation. We have to do this again.
Oh, definitely. I really enjoyed it. I
Yes.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
this is my first time doing the Zoom thing, so I'm excited, and I'll perfect it a little bit better for our next one. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
This is that's the smart side of you.
no.
That's that side that like excellence. Well, we'll do this. We'll do this again, Judy. I'll be
Yes.
calling on you and I'll give you time. I
Okay.
love this conversation. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
A great idea. I'm glad that you thought of it.
Yes. Love you, Judy, and we'll
Love
talk soon.
you. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.